Austria and France. Here we are in Germany with 2 rounds in Italy to come. That at Imola and that, of course, at Mugello for the Finale Mondiale. Nürburgring then, about an hour from Cologne, maybe a couple of hours from Frankfurt. And this 5.148 kilometre circuit features 15 turns, 6 left, 9 right. Quite a technical circuit and quite a demanding one at that. Air temperature 16 degrees, track temperature 27, bit of high cloud around. Earlier on today there was some rain, but it quickly went away, and now we have bone dry conditions. In fact, almost perfect for racing, I would suggest, as the cars are making their way onto the grid. And a good number of spectators here to really enjoy the race action to come from the Ferrari Challenge. But of course, not only that, as part of Ferrari Racing Days, we've had a magnificent F1 show. The F1 Clienti are here, and the XX programs as well. So a real festival of everything to do with Ferrari. On board with Mathias Moser then for Baron Motorsport as he makes his way through the chicane and heads towards the grid. Some 21 cars will compete in this race with the mix of Shell drivers and Shell Am drivers as well. So an awful lot to keep everyone entertained across the course of this Ferrari Racing Days weekend as it makes its return to the Nürburgring in Germany. And you can see the James Wyland car just ahead of Tommy Lindroth as they all make their way onto their grid positions. Eric Chung will be going from pole position with Christian Kinch alongside, who had torrid luck yesterday. And then it will be Ken Abe going from P3. Best of the Shell Am drivers, Laurent Damouz will be going from P1, but it's P4 on the grid, and P2, but P5 on the grid will be Alex Fox. The Hublot safety car there as we take a look at the postcard of our venue here in the Eifel region. So a snapshot of the area here at the Nürburgring, and very packed down there on the grid. There is the Christian Kinch car. Now, Christian yesterday had torrid luck because just as he was running into turn number 1, Ernst Kirchmayr just got out and squeezed out onto the grass, which meant that he couldn't brake effectively, and therefore ran into the side of the Christian Kinch car, which meant that Christian's race was over, as well as the race of Ernst Kirchmayr. Completely non-malicious accident that happened, and Christian Kinch will be hoping for better luck in the race today, going from P2 on the grid. For Eric Chung, though, it is pole position for Formula Racing, and there you can see Eric Chung, who is ready to contest this 30-minute race here in the Ferrari Challenge. He, a Coppa Shell driver, as is Christian Kinch. Laurent Damouz, as I said, the best of the Shell Am drivers with Alex Fox, and they are on P4 and P5 on the grid. So Ferrari Racing Days is the weekend here at the Nürburgring, and what a weekend it has been. One to savour, that's for sure. a fantastic clip of our Ferrari Racing Days weekend here at Nürburgring. Great stuff indeed. Fantastic Formula One show that we had earlier on, featured Andrea Bertolini and also Pascal Wehrlein. And they really did smoke the tyres and give a fantastic show for the fans that are here at the Nürburgring for this Ferrari Racing Days weekend.
Hi, my name is Matthias Moser. I'm 55 years old and I'm racing in the Ferrari Challenge European Championship in the Coppa Shell. Welcome to lovely Nürburgring. This is my home track as I'm German and I live near Frankfurt. When I was little, it was always my dream. So now with 55, I'm able to race with the challenge car. That's a great pleasure and a great honor. Everyone loves the car. The series, I think, is very competitive but also very fair. Everyone has to have exactly the same car, so it's a very fair competition. So let's go to the track. So here we are at the famous Nürburgring, one of my favorite tracks, a track I really love. It's actually quite a difficult track. It's a true driver's track. It has many curves, many turns, and there's not only one line you can do. There are many lines which could be fast or could be slow. So now enjoy the races of the Ferrari Challenge here at Nürburgring.
Thank you, Matthias Moser then. And here is the grid in full. Eric Chung and Christian Kinch on the front row ahead of Ken Abe and Laurent Demers. Alex Fox and Ernst Kirchmeier go on the third row of the grid, P5 and P6, as you can see. All the information at races.ferrari.com. Boris Gideon, Tani Hanna, then it's von Skeltermar and Dusan Palkra. James Wyland and Giuseppe Romelli will be going from P11 and P12. Expect James Wyland to be a danger man potentially from there. Then it's Tommy Lindroth and Matthias Moser, as we've just heard from. Holger Harmsen, Ingvar Madsen, Agatha Smolker and Guy Four occupy the positions through to P18 on the grid. And this the race 2 for the Coppa Shell races over the course of this weekend. Behind Guy Four, it's Michael Simacik, and then it's Werner Gentner and Miroslav Weibo that will be going from P20 and P21. 30 minutes of race action to come between the two classifications within the race. We have the Coppa Shell drivers and the Coppa Shell AM drivers as well. And the race is about to get underway. This is when the excitement and anticipation begins to build ahead of the race. Imagine what it's like for the drivers that are sitting inside the cars. For us, the excitement builds. For them, of course, the tension, the nerves and the excitement then as we go on board that Baron Motorsport car. And there, right at the back of the pack, you can see Miroslav Weibo, the back end of the Scuderia Prague car there. The 112 driver. And tension, of course, builds in the garages as well for the engineers and team principals and everyone that looks after these cars as the Hublot safety car begins to start this formation lap as the cars all head into turn number 1 on the formation lap for this 30-minute race.
Hello everybody and welcome to Nürburgring. This is my home race with my team Lux Sportivo, and I hope I will get a good result. La Emozione Ferrari is very big.
Cheers, Holger. Welcome returnee to the Ferrari Challenge, Holger Harmsen then. As he says, it's his home race here at the Nürburgring and really enjoying this weekend, and he's with us for the remainder of the season as well as we go off to Imola from here, and then of course the Finale Mondiale to come at the Mugello circuit. All the social media at the top of the screen for you. We'd love you to be part of the Ferrari family and be part of the Ferrari Challenge family in particular. and all the social media for you to be part of it contained at the top of the screen for you right now. Looking back at the Eric Chung car for Formula Racing, then it's Christian Kinch for Go Motorsport. Ken Abe is another Formula Racing driver ahead of Laurent de Moos for HRO. And on board then, weaving from side to side, trying to generate some temperature into those tyres ahead of the start of the race. And looking back at the von Skeltermar car, who is going from P9 on the grid, but P6 in his class. And the Hublot safety car then leading the cars around on this formation lap. It's the GP configuration of the track that we use, which is 5.148 kilometers. There are 15 turns, 6 left and 9 right. And the track is very technical, and the cars are heading up towards turn number 10 now, which is the left-hander, which takes you to the Vorsteiner curve, which is turn number 11, the right-hander, and then the fastest part of the track here. And you go through a kink at turn number 12, but it is only a kink. The kink is taken absolutely flat out before you get to the chicane, which is turns number 13 and 14, and that's when you really have to heavy brake the car and make your way uphill through turn 13 and 14 before encountering the final turn of the track, which is turn number 15, that makes up the 5.148 kilometers. There you can see the cars just going through that kink now, which, as I say, is taken absolutely flat. And the chicane, you climb uphill once again. So there is a natural braking rhythm to the chicane before the final turn. Stand by. Race number 2 for Ferrari Challenge. Coppa Shell is just a few seconds away. The lights go out. Let's go racing then as Eric Chung and Christian Kinch side by side going into turn number 1. Ken Abe trying to make a move already on Eric Chung. Eric Chung is right in the middle of the pack. Ken Abe has to brake really, really hard as they go into turn number 1. He runs Christian Kinch wide. There's a touch there from the 103 car of Boris Gideon, who made a great start but then made contact going into turn number 1. And you can see a number of cars are out already. And that through that turn 1 sequence, there is Tanny Hanna, who avoided the carnage ahead. And Christian Kinch dropped down into that P3 position now. Ken Abe ahead of him. Eric Chung, though, stretching his legs at the front of the pack at the moment, as the rest of the cars all try and make their way. I think there's von Skeltermar there, and whether there's damage to the 134 car, it looks like it, the car of Alex Fox, and there the 109 car of Ernst Kirschmeyer, who has had a weekend to forget, and the 103 car of Boris Gideon. Let's take a look in replay then. How did this all come about? Ernst Kirschmeyer in the middle of the pack there, coming down towards turn number 1. That's how it all happened. Well, that looks like the Laurent de Moos car, which was coming all the way down the outside and then got sideways, and then connected with a number of other cars as well. Now, safety car has been called for. Well, I'd like to see that again to see how that really started, because Laurent de Moos is one of the more careful and considerate drivers. And for whatever reason, the start is under investigation and the safety car is out. Laurent de Moos was coming down at the outside, and then the back end of the car let go, whether he's on the grass and the gravel, and that just spun the car out. Then he made contact with a number of other cars as well, but why was he in that position? Why was he put into that position? That's why I'd like to see the replay again from perhaps a little bit further back. So safety car called for in the early stages of this race. And you can see the discussions going on. There's Eric Chung's wife there, Corinna, along with Alan Jurgensen, the team principal of Formula Racing. Well, Eric Chung is okay because he's leading the race, of course. And he was untroubled by everything that was going on behind. But a number of cars have been taken out, including the car of Ernst Kirschmeyer and Boris Gideon. And we think that James Weilander's out as well. A number of cars are coming into the pit lane also. So safety car called for before even a few turns are completed here at the Nürburgring circuit for this second of the Coppa Shell races. So cars in the pits as we saw them coming in. And so the safety car leading the cars now into turn number 2. So we have Alex Fox in the pit lane, also Dusan Balkra, and Tani Hanna came into the pit lane, but he's on his way out now. So you can hear the conversations going on inside the safety car at the moment. There's a real 2 packs of cars, and the reason the safety car is going so slowly is to enable the second pack of cars to catch up with the safety car. There's almost 2 crocodile formations here, and I need everyone to be together, of course, under the safety car conditions. There, the 112 car of Vitus Vibo. And Alex Fox is out. And there you can see the Dusan Balkra car. And it looks like it could be terminal for Dusan Balkra out of the race. Right, let's take a look again. Let's see, why was Laurent Demers? We need the next camera to pick it up here. Just got onto the grass. So, was on his own, just got onto the grass, and therefore the braking momentum would have been severely compromised, and the car shot sideways and made contact, as you can see, and there was then a chain reaction of a number of other cars being involved as well. So one of those really unfortunate situations right at the start of the race. So cars being led around by the safety car currently. And as I mentioned, we have Alex Fox and Dusan Balkra, which we think will be taking no further part in the race, as well as the cars of Ernst Kirchmeier, Boris Gideon, James Weiland. Tani Hanna, we think, is on his way out of the pit lane. And we take a look at the Inside Challenge program now. So we remain behind the safety car. No word of when the safety car is coming in. It's certainly not going to be this lap because, as you can see, the safety car is heading up to the final turn at the moment. So absolutely going to be another lap behind the safety car, but it might be the last lap behind the safety car. Some anxious faces inside the garages, and to be fair, they're trying to get Dusan Balkra back out into the race again. The Scuderia Prague team working very hard on that 117 car to make the changes and to repair whatever is damaged to get Dusan Balkra back out in the race again. Extraordinary work going on there from the Scuderia Prague team. And the rest of the cars then all circulating behind the safety car at the moment. Tommy Lindroth, to the left-hand side of your picture that you saw in the shot just a moment ago, was weaving from side to side because critically the tyres haven't really been brought up to temperature yet. Now this is Moser on board. And there you could see just where... It was good avoidance by Matthias, to be fair. but you could just see from through the windscreen of the Matthias Moser car of how that all unfolded. Matteo Babalus Santaporte there watching on. Of course, he a driver coach and a former Ferrari Challenge star as well. So lights still on the safety car at the moment. I just wonder whether at the conclusion of this lap, whether the safety car will be brought in. So at the moment, we've lost Alex Fox and Dusan Palkra, Ernst Kirchmeier, Boris Gideon and James Weiland. We think that they're working very hard on the Dusan Palkra car from Scuderia Prague to get him back out. Whether they actually achieve that remains to be seen. But they're certainly working very, very hard in the pit lane, and no message yet from race control as to when the safety car is coming in. So the incident, of course, all around turn number 1, whatever's got to be cleared up is being cleared up as we speak. Marshals, as always, do a fantastic job at any racing event, and without them we wouldn't be going racing. So I can tell you, Dusan Palkra is on his way out of the pit lane. Brilliant work by Scuderia Prague, and they get Dusan Palkra back out into the race again. He'll be able to catch up with the crocodile of cars behind the safety car. So well done to the whole team there, doing a very good job getting Dusan back out. Whatever suspension component was broken on the back of the 117 car, they have been able to repair it and get him back out again. Supreme work from the very hard-working engineers and teams that run, of course, in the Ferrari Challenge. Very, very professional setups, and went to work on the Dusan Palkra car and got him back out again. There you can see the order of who's gone where, and biggest scorer is Holger Harmsen, who kept out of harm's way and finds himself in that P4 position in the race overall. So cars continuing to weave from side to side. All behind the Hublot safety car. And let's go on board and see through the Moser car going into the chicane, where you take the curbs going in and also just kiss the curbs on the way out. Normally, of course, at a significantly faster speed than the cars are travelling at the moment. Tani Hanna we're on board with now, looking back. Tani Hanna running in that P6 position. Just wondering whether the timing screen that we have, whether that was faulty, whether Tani Hanna didn't actually come into the pit lane. At one point it was reporting that Tani Hanna was in the pit lane, but I think that was a problem with the transponder, because I don't think he did come into the pit lane. So the 157 car of Tani Hanna maintains that P6 position. There is the Holger Harmsen car. As we said, he's one of the big winners in terms of how everything happened going into turn number 1. Kept himself out of trouble and was able to navigate through the carnage that was going on. And finds himself sat behind Christian Kinch now. Be really, Holger Harmsen would be absolutely delighted if he'd be able to take a podium here at his home track here at the Nürburgring on his return to the Ferrari Challenge. So safety car board still out, waved yellows, but the safety car is going to come in at the conclusion of this lap. So the lights on top of the safety car will go out, and it will be in at the end of this lap, which means, to be honest, almost half the race duration has gone before we get into race action. And Eric Chung, Ken Abe, then it's Christian Kinch, Holger Harmsen, von Skeltermar, Tani Hanna. The best of the AM drivers, Giuseppe Romelli, then it's Agata Smolka once again. Really good performance, and Ingvar Madsen is P3 in terms of the Shell AM drivers. So the safety car is now heading up towards the turn number 7 hairpin. So you run downhill here, as you can see. Then the safety car will be turning right into this hairpin section. We use the Grand Prix iteration of the Nürburgring track, 5.1 kilometers, 15 turns, 6 left, 9 right, 3.2 miles the distance. If you prefer the miles for the lap length rather than the kilometers. So the standings ticking on the screen as well, and it is going to be almost half distance when the safety car does come in. The lights will go out on the safety car to indicate to all the drivers to be prepared, because it will be a race restarting after the safety car, so it will be the responsibility of Eric Chung to control the pace of the restart. Holger Harmsen getting right alongside Christian Kinch there, because Christian braked, and there's von Skeltermar. So as they run down the back straight now, the fastest part of the circuit, and Ken Abe really needs to get onto the back of the Formula Racing car of Eric Chung. They've only got a couple of turns to do before the race will restart, but they all bunch up together now. So safety car will peel off to the left-hand side at the conclusion of this chicane, and everyone champing at the bit, ready to get going once again, including Tanny Hanna. Now, of course, no overtaking before you get to the safety car line. Otherwise, you will be penalised. Tanny Hanna and von Skeltermar very close to going around the final turn here as we get the green flag and go racing once again. So for the second time of asking in competition, the cars all head down towards turn number 1. Already Holger Harmsen on the inside of Christian Kinch. Christian Kinch is going to try and close the door, but I think Holger Harmsen has got the inside line here. Christian Kinch carries a little bit more speed and is able to maintain the momentum, so denies Holger Harmsen the opportunity to get past the 112 car. Could just see the back end of Tanny Hanna's car going around, and sure enough, Tanny Hanna facing the wrong direction on the track. That could be critical with all the cars about to come through. Well, thankfully, everyone avoided the Tanny Hanna car, which whether he turned it around or whether it got turned around, just saw the back end of the Tanny Hanna car going around. Christian Kinch continuing to defend from Holger Harmsen. Eric Chung leads the race from Ken Abe in P2. Some more dust having been kicked up there from somebody else that's met with the grass, and oh my goodness me, that is a car very much on fire. Now, I couldn't identify who that was, whether that is and where that is on the track, trying to pick that up as we watch Eric Chung continuing to lead. Eric Chung P1, I think it was the Guy 4 car. So there is Eric Chung, car number 198, leading the race. Then it's 107 Ken Abe, then it's Christian Kinch, and now Holger Harmsen is having to defend from von Skeltermar. So where we thought Holger Harmsen would be on to Christian Kinch, now is having to defend from the 177 car of von Skeltermar, the Netherlands-based racer, who really has got the Holger Harmsen car well within his target sights here as the safety car is called again. So now that the safety car has been announced, I think Fons is going to have to give this place back to Holger Harmsen, because, well, here we can see this was Tanny Hanna going round, and I thought everyone had managed to avoid, and I think they did. Now, just seeing that overtake from von Skeltermar on Holger Harmsen, it was just as the safety car notice had come out. Now, the argument or the decision will be as to whether a safety car board was displayed before von Skeltermar made the overtake. Perhaps it wasn't, in which case the overtake will be allowed to stay. So the cars all behind the safety car once again. And whilst initially we thought it might have been Guy 4, the car that we saw with problems, whether it was either Alex Fox or Dusan Balcra, because we know the team worked really, really hard on the Dusan Balcra car and managed to get the car out again. There we are with the Scuderia Prague team inside the garage. And safety car board being shown, as you can see. And I can't even see the transponder showing on our track map as to where that 117 car is. We know the number 120 car of Guy 4, we think, is in the back of cars. No, that is into the pit lane. Now, whosever car it was that we saw with flames coming out of the back, we suspect that might have been the Dusan Balcra car. So the Rosso Corsa team down there in conversation on the pit wall. So safety car called for the second time in this race. Alex Fox is running once again. I can see him trying to catch up with the crocodile at the back of the pack of cars. And whilst we've got this safety car going on, we're going to check out some of the F1 activity that was seen as part of the Ferrari Racing Days weekend here at the Nürburgring. So the F1 show here, which was in the cars, in those F1 cars, it was Andrea Bertolini and Pascal Wehrlein that put on the F1 show. There we can see the Laurent Demers car, and that's the car that has brought out the safety car for the second time of asking. So the Laurent Demers car is out. And just going back to that F1 show, that was absolutely brilliant earlier on today. As I say, with Pascal Wehrlein and Andrea Bertolini driving the cars and putting on a great display and a great show for the many fans that are here. Now, with this second safety car intervention, we are under 10 minutes of race time left for this Coppa Shell race. The race that's being led by Eric Chung, who has spent more time behind the safety car than actually racing. So it's Eric Chung, Ken Abe and Christian Kinch, the 1, 2, 3. Then in terms of the Coppa Shell AM drivers, there's Giuseppe Romelli and Ingvar Madsen and Mikhail Simonchik that are the 1, 2, 3. So they're the Hublot safety car then. The safety car lights remain on currently. And where's the safety car on the track? Well, heading down towards turn number 5 and turn number 6 now. So dependent on the recovery of the stricken 145 car, whether they can get the safety car in at the conclusion of this lap is, well, it remains to be seen. On board once again to see what it's like inside the fantastic Matthias Moser Ferrari 488 Challenger car, engineered by Baron Motorsport. Gently weaving from side to side just to try and maintain some temperature into those tyres. Just heading into the turn number 7 hairpin now, and just coming out of it. And you head into the Michael Schumacher-esque sequence of turns 8 and 9, and you begin climbing uphill. The safety car is going to come in this lap. So we will get back to race action at the conclusion of this lap then. So lights off on the safety car, and for the second time of asking then, Eric Chung is going to have to control the pace of the restart. And there he is, Eric Chung leading the race from Ken A P2, Christian Kinch P3, von Skeltermar P4, then it's Holger Harmsen. And the cars are heading up towards the chicane right now, going through this kink, which, as I've mentioned a couple of times, you take absolutely flat in race conditions. And now, Eric Chung stacks them all up behind him, and Ken Abe will try and anticipate when Eric Chung is going to give it an absolute footfall to try and maintain the closeness to the Eric Chung car ahead of him. There, the Hublot safety car is into the pit lane. And Eric Chung then does the restart perfectly and builds up already a margin of a couple of car lengths between himself and Ken Abe as the rest of the cars come through. And once again, the pinch point is going to be turn number 1. Let's Go Racing with just 7 and a few minutes worth of racing to come then in this second restart. Von Skeltermaier is going to get a drive-through penalty for a jump start, so that brings Holger Harmsen back into the mix once again, as Ken Abe is all over Eric Chung trying to find his way through. Christian Kinch is also in turn trying to attack Ken Abe. So it's Eric Chung from Ken Abe and Christian Kinch and Von Skeltermaier. Von Skeltermaier, though, is going to get a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, so jumping the restart, I assume that is, rather than the original start of the race, because that penalty would have been made known to us earlier on. And what a great shame, because Von Skeltermaier is driving like you would not believe, trying to get past the 107 car of Ken Abe at the moment. So Christian Kinch is holding these the front of these 3 currently, and he of course is running in P2. Eric Chung is escaping up the road. Best of the AM drivers, Giuseppe Romelli ahead of Ingvar Madsen. And Von Skeltermaier really is trying to build the biggest margin he possibly can between P1 and P2. Up to 1.5 seconds now as he crossed that sector line. And there is Christian Kinch and Ken Abe then, the car looking very skittish at the front end under braking. This battle for P2. Now, bearing in mind, Von Skeltermaier is in this battle, but it's almost academic because he has got a drive-through penalty. Ken Abe runs a bit wide. He will have lost a few 100ths there, and that means Von Skeltermaier is able to get even closer to him. So for Kessel Racing, here comes Von Skeltermaier then. But he has this hanging over him, this drive-through penalty that he's got to take. Is he going to dive into the pit lane and take it now? You have to do it within 3 laps of being advised of that drive-through penalty, and sure enough, he has dived into the pit lane and will take that. So that was Christian Kinch getting the better of Ken Abe. So Christian Kinch in P2, Eric Chung P1, Ken Abe is P3. And here comes Ingvar Madsen then, who's trying to wrestle away the lead from that 172. Nicky Kadai there just on the edge of the pit lane as Von Skeltermaier takes his drive-through penalty. There's Holger Harmsen. Then it's Giuseppe Romelli and Ingvar Madsen trying to get the better of Giuseppe Romelli here. Is there going to be room for him to go through? He's on the grass and the curbs. Well, he does go through. How he was able to hold on to that car is beyond me, but he did, and he went through on Giuseppe Romelli. Now, whether the stewards will take a look at that and feel that that was really just pushing the track limits a little bit too far and he'll have to give the place back, well, that remains to be seen. We've only got 4 minutes of the race remaining, but Ingvar Madsen is leading insofar as we know the AMs currently. Whether, as I say, the race stewards will have something to say about that. Ingvar Madsen ahead of Giuseppe Romelli. And here it is. So you can see the gap was kind of there, but then it wasn't. And Ingvar Madsen had to take to the grass and the curbs, and he held onto the car absolutely brilliantly. So Eric Chung then sets the fastest lap at 2:07.114, and he's got a 1.3 margin over Christian Kinch in P2. Ken Abe is P3. I think Ken Abe is done with this yet, although there's only 3.5 minutes of the race remaining. And Ingvar Madsen then leading the AM classification ahead of Giuseppe Romelli and Mikhail Simonchik, who will be P3 at the moment with about a second or half a second's margin over Matthias Moser, who is P4. So Christian Kinch and Ken Abe then fighting over this P2 place. So the 107 car accelerates out of the turn for Formula Racing then. Driver number 145 got a report to the session after report to the stewards after the session. So there is Eric Chung leading the race, and here comes Ken Abe then going to have a go at Christian Kinch. Christian closes the door. Here's Holger Harmsen, and Giuseppe Romelli is ahead of Ingvar Madsen once again. Now, whether Ingvar Madsen gave that position back or whether Giuseppe Romelli made the overtake. Well, let's take a look. It was Giuseppe Romelli up the inside of the chicane, and then did go through on Ingvar Madsen. So Ingvar Madsen got to do the overtake all over again if he wants the P1 position. Of course he does. So some more dust being kicked off. I wonder if a car has gone off there, because Tony Hanna fighting a little bit further down the order as well. He's running in P6 in class, but P10 in the race overall. So here comes Ingvar Madsen for another go on Giuseppe Romelli for the lead of the Coppa Shell AM class, and all of a sudden Christian Kinch and Ken Abe are right on the back of Eric Chung, but there is only a minute and a half and 6 seconds to go before the end of the race. So Eric Chung then, who hasn't had to push the car too hard, truthfully, in terms of its durability, because spent so much time behind the safety car, but all of a sudden, fastest lap comes from Ken Abe, who's pushing Christian Kinch, and both of them are getting closer to the Eric Chung car. Now, whether Eric Chung is slowing, indeed, his last lap was a 2:07, whereas both Christian Kinch and Ken Abe were both in the 2:06s. So Christian Kinch bouncing over the curbs on the exit of the chicane and heading up towards turn number 15, the final turn now here on this 5.1 kilometer lap at the Nürburgring. And we'll get a live gap between Christian Kinch and Ken Abe, and it's going to be intense, isn't it? And there you can see it's just over 3 tenths between the two of them. Eric Chung sort of responds and tries to build up a slight margin over the two of them. Ken Abe takes a look at the outside of the Christian Kinch car. Will try now and come underneath the car, but isn't close enough really to be able to do so. So it's Chung from Kinch, from Abe, then the 1, 2, 3, and we are on the final lap of this somewhat shortened Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race, where we have 2 elongated safety car periods. The order in terms of Coppa Shell AM, it's Giuseppe Romelli and Ingvar Madsen and Mikael Simoncic. So can Christian Kinch do anything on this final lap on the corners that remain to see if he can get on terms and try and overtake on Eric Chung and take a win out of this weekend? I mean, a P2 following his DNF yesterday will be a delight for him, but to take the win would be the icing on the cake. But Eric Chung is pretty smooth and looks like he is pretty comfortable with some 8 tenths of margin over Christian Kinch. I think Christian is really rather too busy defending from Ken Abe to think about attacking Eric Chung ahead of him. And certainly Ken Abe is not going to settle for P3 if he can get P2, and that's what this fight is all over at the moment. So there is our race leader, Eric Chung. Here comes Ken Abe then taking a look at Christian Kinch now. First of all, he showed his face to the inside and then to the outside as they run down now behind the paddock here, the fastest part of this Nürburgring circuit. And this is where Ken Abe has really got to do it, going through this kink potentially and trying to get the better of Christian Kinch. It's going to be on the entry or the exit of the chicane. It's going to be the only place that he can do it. Is he going to be bold and brave? Well, perfectly fair. Christian Kinch now, what Ken Abe needs to do is get to the inside of Christian Kinch because the overtake opportunity will be on the inside. The door gets closed by Christian Kinch. They're going to be virtually welded together across the line as Eric Chung wins. Christian Kinch takes P2, Ken Abe takes P3. And Ingvar Madsen has gone around. So that takes him out potentially of a podium place in terms of Coppa Shell AM, because it's Giuseppe Romelli. It was him having a go at Giuseppe Romelli and Mikael Simoncic and Matthias Moser that take the podium places. And there you can see, he thought he'd got the overtake done, but contact between the two of them turned him around. So a somewhat shortened Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. Is completed. And there the 117 car of Dusan Palkra, and finished P7 in class. And credit to the Scuderia Prague team for keeping that or getting that car back out again. But Eric Chung takes the win. P2 goes the way of Christian Kinch to make up for his DNF yesterday. At least he is on the podium today. Ken Abe with a great drive to take P3. That is his best finish of the season. P4 for the returnee, Holger Harmsen. And then it's P5 for Tommy Lindroth in car number 127. That's probably Tommy's best finish of the season as well. Taking P6, it's Tanny Hanna. P7 in the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell is von Skeltermar following that drive-through penalty. Of course, he was on the podium yesterday, and top three in each class then. Chung, Kinch and Abe for the Shell drivers, and for the Shell AM, it's Ramelli, Simonchik and Moser, the top three places. So the paddock then, and the cars on their cool-down lap heading towards the Parc Fermé area. There is the Parc Fermé area, and in comes Eric Chung with Corinna, his wife, there, ready to congratulate him straight away. Ever present. Hey, on top of the car as well. Careful of the balance, friend.
Come on.
And Babalus then congratulating his driver, Christian Kinch. Love to see the emotions at the end of the race. Some positive, some not, of course. Ernst Kirschmeyer helping him out of the car. That's lovely to see. And Philip Barron there to offer congratulations. Okay, well, with a race somewhat shortened by safety cars, let's take a look at the highlights. So as the cars crossed the timing line then and the lights went green, keep your eye on the number 145 car that's going to come down the outside. Well, we lost that shot, but there it is, and it connected with Ernst Kirschmeyer, and then James Weiland was taken out, and Tanny Hanna as well. It was one of those really unfortunate accidents that happen in motorsport. So that brought out the safety car for the first time of asking, but it wouldn't be the last time of asking. Eric Chung was at the front of the pack, and Ingvar Madsen and the number 120 car of Guy 4 having a real ding-dong battle. Tanny Hanna went around, and well, looks of anxiety inside the garages, and Laurent Demers was going to be out of the race as well. So for the second time of asking, the safety car was called for, and Eric Chung had got to do it all over again and came under some pressure from both Ken Abe and Christian Kinch. And Ingvar Madsen up the inside of Giuseppe Romelli. And then Giuseppe Romelli coming back at Ingvar Madsen, going through the chicane. In the few minutes of racing that we did have, there was plenty going on. And here the contact between Giuseppe Romelli and Ingvar Madsen would send him around and deny him a podium. It meant Giuseppe Romelli would take the win for the AMS, but Eric Chung would take the win for the Coppa Shell drivers. And the Formula Racing team, once again, very happy. Holger Harmsen, great shame that he missed out on the podium by one place in his home race here at the Nürburgring. So the conversation's going on down there. Christian Kinch just says, it was tough. Yep. It was that. We'll get the classification for you in due course, but first of all, here comes the classification for the Shell drivers. I was going to say we'll get the classification of the AMS, but let's do the Shell drivers first. Eric Chung taking the win from Christian Kinch and Ken Abe. Then it was Holger Harmsen, Tommy Lindroth, his best finish of the season, Tanny Hanna, von Skeltermar, and then Genter with DNFs for Guy Four and Ernst Kirschmeyer. So super slow-mos, the top three. Ken Abe, first of all, will take P3. P2 will go the way of the Go Motorsport driver, Christian Kinch. And of course, it is P1 for the Formula Racing racer, Eric Chung, in car number 198. Those are the three drivers we'll be seeing on the podium for the Shell presentations in terms of Shell drivers. And it is the podium that we'll be going up to next to enjoy the trophy presentations and celebrations. And blue sky now with some harmless high cloud around. In the Drivers' Championship, Tanny Hanna still leading on 124 points. Ernst Kirschmeyer with 93. Then it's Eric Chung, look, on 92. And James Weiland on 88 with Ken Abe, von Skeltermar, Christian Kinch, Tommy Lindroth, Murat Kuadaroglu and Thomas Gosner, both missing this weekend. P9 and P10 in the Drivers' Championship. So we can hear the voice of Michele Mambrelli as Gata Smolka then makes her way down the pit lane to support those drivers that will be on the podium. She will not be on this occasion, which is rare. But as I say, we can hear Michele Mambrelli getting the podium ready. And indeed, we see Ken Abe and Christian Kinch and Eric Chung to the top step of the podium. And Formula Racing once again will be represented up there. And Eric Chung enjoys the success, and it's national anthem time. So the anthem has played out, and Mr. Antonello Coletta, then the head of Ferrari GT Sporting Activities, making the trophy presentations, and Ken Abe receives his. Christian Kinch receives his. And now, of course, the race-winning trophy goes to Eric Chung. So the drivers and team representative will all get together for the photograph. Not should be plural, photographs. Now it'll be time for the champagne. Christian Kinch is going to be quickest with the champagne. See, told you. And indeed he was, as Ken Abe and Eric Chung are on more of the receiving end than the giving end at the moment. And well done to all three. And it was a somewhat shortened race in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. They are the Coppa Shell drivers that take the 1, 2, 3. Into Coppa Shell Am, Giuseppe Romelli. And then it is the car of Mikael Simoncic. Then Matthias Moser, ahead of Weibo and Madsen and Smolka, Palkrup, and of course Alex Fox and Laurent Demouz and Boris Gideon regrettably did not complete the race. So it'll be Romelli and Simoncic and Moser that we see up there on the podium for the Coppa Shell Am podium. Super slow-mos of the top 3 cars then, and the first of those, Matthias Moser for Baron Motorsport, takes P3. Taking P2 then, also for Baron Motorsport, it is Mikael Simoncic. And P1 will go the way of the Rosso Corsa Pellin racer, Giuseppe Romelli. So the drivers are already on the podium, as you can see. And a great moment for Matthias Moser here at his home race then on the podium. And Rosso Corsa Pellin represented on the podium as well. And it's time for the national anthem to play out for Giuseppe Romelli. So the anthem plays out then. It's time for trophy presentations. Once again, Ferrari head of GT Sporting Activities, Mr. Antonello Coletta, making the trophy presentation first of all to our driver taking P3 for Baron Motorsport, Matthias Moser, home podium. Then, of course, Mikael Simoncic taking P2, and Giuseppe Romelli then for Rosso Corsa Pellin Racing taking the win. So the drivers will all pose for the photographs, and as they do that, we turn our attention, of course, to the next round, which is going to be at Imola at the end of September. So a bit of a summer break as the drivers all pose for their photographs. I remind you, races.ferrari.com is the website for you to find out everything that you could want to know about the Ferrari Challenge and to follow it and the cars and the characters in what is an extraordinary championship. And the champagne time, and by far and away, Giuseppe Romelli, not only the winner of the race, but winner of the champagne battle as well. From me, thanks so much for being part of this Ferrari Racing Days weekend at the Nürburgring. We'll see you at Imola. Bye-bye for now.